Hi, welcome to English Composition. I'm Michael Cheng. I'm here today with Cher Chen.
各位同学，大家好，欢迎来到今天的英文作文课程。我是 Cher。
And today we are working on Unit 9, and our topic is my weekly schedule.
好，我们今天的主题是单元9讲的是个人的行事历。
All right, today we're going to write about your schedule, and by writing about your schedule, we'll be able to practice using different types of time expressions.
好，我们今天呢要练习写出你的个人的行事历哦。那借由练习写行事历呢，你将会练习如何使用不同的方式来表达时间。
And time expressions are frequency adverbs or other words or phrases that are used to tell how often or how frequently you perform an action.
时间的表达呢，即是使用频率副词或者是其他的字跟词来表示事情发生的频率。
Right. Now, after we learn about frequency adverbs, we'll also work on a short essay about the activities you perform during a typical week.
好，在学习过频率副词之后呢，我们也将写一篇短文来描述我们一周的日常活动。
Let's start now with our grammar focus.
好，我们现在先来看看我们的文法重点。
Now, there are many types of words that you can use to describe how often you do something, and you can find some examples of time expressions on page 102 of your textbook.
好，事实上呢，有很多的字可以用来描述你从事某一件事情的频率。那你也可以在课本的第102页找到这一些用来表示时间的字跟词。
Now, time expressions can come at the beginning of a sentence, in the middle of a sentence, or at the end of a sentence.
好，这种时间的表达方式呢，可以放在句子的开头、句子的中间跟句子的结尾。
And time expressions, what they can do is they can change the meaning of a sentence, or they can make your attitude about a situation much clearer.
好呢，那时态的表现呢，也可以完全的去改变句子的意思，甚至呢，可以改变你对于某个情形这个态度，能够借由这些使用这些频率的副词来表达得更为清楚。
Right, now let's observe how the following sentence totally changes in meaning when we add time expressions to the sentence.
我们来观察一下下列的句子在它加上了一些时态的频率副词之后呢，它是如何去改变原来的意思。
Right, our first sentence is, I enjoy going to the opera.
好，例句一说，我喜欢去看歌剧。
And so this has a very positive meaning, a positive take towards going to the opera.
好，在例句一中呢，它表现出来的态度是非常正面的。
But let's add a frequency adverb here. And let's add rarely, for example. So we have, I rarely enjoy going to the opera.
好，那如果我们在例句一中呢，加入了频率副词 rarely，就会变成例句2，我很少去看很少会喜欢去看歌剧。
Or else, let's add another sentence here. We can use never. And we have, I never enjoy going to the opera.
好，那在例句3，我们又加入另外一个频率副词，我们用 never，那代表意思是我从来不曾喜欢去看歌剧。
And so you can see here, when we add rarely or when we add never to our original sentence, we change it from a very positive sentence to a sentence that's very negative about the idea of going to the opera.
好，你会发现呢，在例句2跟例句3中，我们加入了 really 或是 never 这样子的频率副词，就把语气从正面而变成一种负面的态度。
And now these words that we see on the screen, or that we saw, rarely, never, these are words that go in the middle of a sentence, and these are what we call frequency adverbs.
好，那我们会发现呢，像刚刚提到的 really 跟 never 这两个字我们都放在句子中间的位置。那这两个字呢，我们就称为频率副词。
Now, there are also some very specific rules for how you use frequency adverbs within your sentences.
好，关于频率副词的放置的位置及使用呢，有一些非常特殊的规则。
Right, let's look at an example that uses the be verb.
好，我们来看一下一个例子使用 be 动词来当做这个的中心的动词。
All right, so we have a sentence here, I am never tired in the evening.
好，我们看到例句4，他说我晚上从来不觉得累。
And so in this sentence, you can see that we put the frequency adverb right after the be verb.
好，在这个例子中，你会发现呢，我们把频率副词 never 放在 be 动词的正后方。
If your verb is a simple present tense verb or a simple past tense verb, then you put your time expressions before the verb.
那如果你的动词呢是现在简单式或是过去简单式的动词，那你就应该把频率副词放在动词的前面。
All right, so let's take a look at these examples. Sentence number 5 says, I always finish my homework before I go to bed.
好，我们看一下例句5，他说我总是在上床前完成我的作业。
And so you can see here the frequency adverb is before our verb finish.
好，在这里可以发现呢，我们所谓的频率副词 always 是放在主要的动词是现在简单式动词 finish 的前面。
Or let's take a look at another example. When I was a child, I rarely stayed up until 9 o'clock.
我们看一下例句6，他说当我还是孩子的时候呢，我很少晚上9点还不睡觉。
And again, you can see our frequency adverb rarely. This appears before our verb, which is stayed up.
好，我们发现呢，在这个句子里面，频率副词 rarely 是放在过去简单式动词 stayed up 的前面。
All right, let's go on and talk about what happens if we have an auxiliary verb that goes with the main verb. So if you have an auxiliary verb that goes with the main verb, then the frequency adverb will occur between the two verbs or after the first auxiliary verb.
好，如果这状况是你有一个动词伴随着另外一个主要动词以及一个助动词，那你就必须把频率副词放置在两个动词之间，或是放在第一个助动词的后面。
All right, let's take a look at some examples now. Sentence number 7 says, I have always finished my homework.
好，我们来看一下例子。例句7，他说我总是会完成我的作业。
And so here we can see that our frequency adverb always goes between the auxiliary verb have and the main verb finished.
好，在这个句子中，我们发现频率副词 always 它是放在助动词 have 跟它的动词 finished 的中间呢。
All right, look at sentence number 8. I have never been so happy.
好，我们看一下例句8我从来没有这么高兴过。
And again, our frequency adverb is the word never. It appears between have and been.
好，那在例句8里面，频率副词是 never 它出现在助动词 have 跟动词 been 中间。
And look at sentence number 9. It says, this light has always been broken.
好，例句9，这盏灯一直都是坏掉的。
And so here we see our frequency adverb is always.
好，在这个句子中，它的频率副词是 always。
But we see that our verb is the three-part verb, has always been broken, and that the frequency adverb just appears after the first auxiliary verb.
好，在这个句子中，你会发现助动词 has 跟后面been broken 这总共有3个，我们说有3个动词的形式。那在这个时候呢，你要把频率副词放置在第一个助动词的后面。
Right, now another thing is, if we turn these sentences into a question, then the frequency adverb should occur after the subject of the sentence.
好，那如果现在呢，我们要把这些句子转化为问句的话呢，则频率副词应该要放置在句子的主词的后面。
Right, so let's take a look at sentence number 4 again, and we are going to turn this into a question now. So our question is, are you ever tired in the evening? You can see here that the word ever appears after the subject.
好，那在例句4我们刚刚本来看到例句4说我在晚上从来不觉得累，那我们把例句4变成一个问句的话呢，你就会看到这样子的一个说法 Are you ever tired in the evening？ 那你请注意到怎么样把这个 never 是放在 you 的后面放在主词的后面。
Also, notice how when we make the question, we change the word from never into ever.
好，那也请特别注意到在直述句的时候我们用 never 到了问句的时候我们把它改成 ever。
All right, let's take a look at another example. We have number 5, and as we make this into a question, it becomes, do you always finish your homework before you go to bed?
好，如果我们把例句5也变成问句的话，你就会看到是这样子的一个句子。
All right, and so here you see that the frequency adverb appears after the subject. You can also see that we change the subject from I into you.
在问句里面呢，你会发现这个频率副词 always 是放在主词 you 的后面。那另外一方面呢，你也可以注意到，在例句5里面我们是用第一人称 I， 但是到了问句里面呢，我们用第二人称 you。
All right, let's take a look at one more example. And we have, when I was a child, I rarely stayed up until 9 o'clock. then the question becomes, when you were a child, did you often stay up until 9 o'clock?
好，例句6讲到的是，当我还是小孩子的时候，我很少晚上9点还不睡觉。那我们把这个句子也变成问句就会变成以下这个句子。
And then you can see here that when we changed from the sentence to the question, we changed the frequency adverb from rarely into the word often.
好，那你会发现呢，当我们把例句6变成问句的时候，我们把这频率副词 rarely 改成了 often。
We're going to take a little bit of a break right now, and when we come back, we'll learn some more about frequency adverbs.
好，我们现在休息一下，休息过后呢，我们再回来再看一下关于频率副词的使用方式。
Okay, so sometimes when we move frequency adverbs to the front of a sentence or the end of a sentence, we can change the emphasis.
好，有时候呢，我们会把频率副词放到句首或是句尾这是用来要改变想要加强的地方。
Right, let's take a look at example number 10.
我们来看一下例句10。
It says, I almost always stop by a coffee shop on the way home, but occasionally I go to a 24-hour bookstore.
好，例句10说呢，我几乎总是会在回家的路上在咖啡店停下来，但是偶尔呢，我也会去24小时营业的书店里。
So in sentence 10, always and occasionally are being contrasted, and moving occasionally to the front of the clause puts greater emphasis on it. And so this makes the contrast between always and occasionally clearer.
好，在这个例句10里面呢 ，always 跟 occasionally 是对比的两个频率副词。那这时候把 occasionally 移动到这个子句的前面呢，会是要强调这个 occasionally 的意思，也使得 always 跟 occasionally 两个频率副词之间的对比比较明显。
All right. Now, another thing is that if we move a frequency adverb to the end of a sentence, we can put more or less emphasis on it depending on the punctuation.
好，那如果把频率副词呢放到句尾的时候，而且不使用任何特殊的标点符号的时候呢，会让这整件事情看起来比较没有这么重要。
Right, so let's take a look at our next example, sentence number 11. It says, we go on dates occasionally.
好，我们看到例句11讲到说，我们偶尔会去约会。
So it just doesn't seem like occasionally is being emphasized here, so it seems like it's not very important.
好，在例句11里面 occasionally 并没有被特别的强调
If we go to the movies, sometimes this is also similar, that sometimes is at the end, it's not very important.
好，例句12讲到说，我们有时候会去看电影那这地方跟例句11一样，并没有特别强调这个频率。
All right, and then if we look at sentence 13, it says we go to the movies often, and because of the punctuation, this word often is emphasized.
好，例句13里面呢，这个 often 呢，你会发现它在它之前加上了一个逗号代表说它被特别的加强特别强调。
All right, and so now let's take a look at one more set of time expressions that we can put at the end of a sentence.
好，我们再来看一下另外一组可以放在句尾使用的这个时间的用词。
And so we can see just these words, every day, every other day, every week. There are many words that we can put at the end of a sentence.
好，你会发现呢，这一些列在荧幕上的这一些字都可以放在句尾来使用。
And we can even take a word like every day and we can change it around. We can say something like every second or every minute, every hour or every week also.
那这些用字是可以比较有弹性的来使用那你也可以改变任何计算时间的单位比如说你不想说 every day 你可以说 every second day, every minute, every hour 改变它的用字。
So now that we know something about these frequency adverbs, let's see how we can use these in our writing.
好，我们现在已经稍微了解了这些使用频率副词的使用方式那我们现在来看看如何把这些字应用在我们的写作上面。
And so let's start by looking at some photographs about some things that we might do during the week.
好，那现在呢，我们来看一些图片这些图片表示的是我们每天都可能会做的事情。
And as we look at these pictures, let's make up some sentences about what we see.
好，我们一边看这些图片呢，一边来根据这些图片里面的活动，我们来造几个句子。
And so in this first picture, we can see that this woman, that she goes jogging.
好，在这张图片里面呢，我们会发现这个女人她是在慢跑。
All right, let's take a look and see what else this person does during the week. Okay, here she goes to work.
好，那下面这张图片我们看到这个女生她现在是去上班。
And what else is she doing? Look, she's very busy. It seems like she works late.
好，下面这张图片看到她好像工作得很忙碌哦，那她工作到很晚的时候。
Okay, and over here, it seems like she's going to class.
这张图片看起来，这个女生呢，她好像去上课哦。
Okay, and then later on, she goes to a bookstore.
那接下来这张图片显示的是这女生到书店去了。
All right, let's see what else she does. Here she goes to coffee shops.
这张图片里面，这位女性呢，她是到了咖啡店去。
And here's another picture, and we see that she goes to movies.
好，这张图片表示的是她去看电影了。
And then here's our last picture. We can see that she does the laundry.
最后一张图片，我们看到她正在洗衣服。
Now, the next thing that we want to do is add some details to these sentences, and we can do these by adding some frequency adverbs to our sentences.
好，我们接下来要做的事情呢，是在句子里面加入一些细节。那我们可以借由加入频率副词的方式来增加一些时间上面的细节。
So now let's take a look at Jeannie's appointment book and see how often she does these activities that we just talked about.
好，我们现在来看一下 Jeannie 的记事本呢。我们来看看她平常从事每个活动的频率是有多么的高呢？
All right, so we have Jeannie's appointment book right here, and let's take a closer look at it. The first thing that we can see is that Jeannie goes jogging every day of the week.
好，我们可以发现Jeannie 每天都会去慢跑而且从礼拜天到礼拜六整个礼拜都会这么做。
All right, so now if we look at Monday, the next thing that we can see is that Jeannie goes to work from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way to Friday.
好，下一件常见的事情呢，是去上班。Jeannie 从礼拜一到礼拜五都会去工作。
All right, and so as we go on and take another look, we can see that Jeannie also goes to computer class on Tuesday and Thursday. Here's a computer class, another computer class.
好，接下来我们会发现星期二跟星期四 Jeannie 会去上电脑课。
And so if we look after the computer class, we can see that Jeannie often goes out after the computer class.
好，那我们会发现呢，在上完电脑课之后 ，Jeannie 通常都会待在外面去外面逗留。
And if we look at Monday, we can see that there are some other days, such as Monday, and now let's go down to take a look at Friday, that Jeannie also goes out after work.
好，那如果我们再看看星期一、星期五，我们会发现呢，Jeannie 通常晚上呢也会在外面逗留。
All right, so now let's take a look at the weekends, and we can see that on the weekends, Jeannie's schedule is a little bit different. So she still goes jogging in the morning.
好，我们看到星期六我们会发现到了周末的时候 ，Jeannie 她的这个行程表会有一些不一样那一样，早上她会一样是去慢跑。
But here on Saturday, you can see that sometimes she goes to see a movie.
但是到了这个下午之后呢，她可能会去看个电影。
All right, now let's take a look at Sunday. And we can see that sometimes Jeannie does housework, such as doing her laundries.
好，那到了星期日的时候，我们会发现 Jeannie 会在做一些家事像是洗衣服之类的。
Right, so what we're going to do next is we'll form some of these questions and ask Jeannie what she does during the week. But before we do that, let's take a little break.
好，我们等一下呢会来造一些问句然后观察她的答案。那在那个之前，我们现在先休息一下。
Hi, welcome back. We're going to have a little chat with Jeannie now. And so we're going to ask her some questions about her week and note how she uses frequency adverbs in her answers.
好，我们现在要来问 Jeannie 一些问题关于她一周之中的这些活动。那请各位同学注意到等一下 Jeannie 的回答之中，她是如何去使用一些频率副词来表达时间上面的不同。
All right, let's watch the video now. How often are you busy?
I am very busy every day of the week.
How often do you go jogging?
I always go jogging.
Is there another way you can answer that question?
I go jogging every day.
How often do you go to work?
I go to work 5 days a week. I go to work every weekday.
Do you often work late?
Yes, I often work late.
How late do you usually work?
I usually stay in the office until 8 p.m. Occasionally, I work until 10 or 11 p.m.
How often do you go to class?
I go to computer class twice a week.
How often do you go to see a movie?
I go to see a movie once in a while. I usually go to a movie on Saturday afternoons.
How often do you go out after work?
Very often. I almost always stop by a coffee shop on the way home to hang out with friends.
How often do you visit a bookstore?
I occasionally visit a bookstore.
How often do you do your housework?
Not very often. For example, I only do my laundry once a week.
Now we're going to take the answers that Jeannie gave and we're going to turn them into a written paragraph.
好，我们现在要根据刚刚 Ginny 的回答哦，来把它的这个写成一个段落。
So now let's take a look at our writing model.
好，现在我们来看一下这个写作范例。
Okay, let's read our writing model together now.
好，我们现在一起来看一下我们的写作范例。
So the first sentence is, I'm very busy every day of the week.
好，我们句子的整个段落的一开头，第一个句子说呢，在一个星期之中，我每天都非常的忙碌。
First, I always go jogging in the morning.
首先我每天早上都会去慢跑。
Then, I generally come home and get ready for work.
再来，我通常会回家，然后准备去上班。
I go to work 5 days a week.
我一个礼拜有5天要去工作。
I often work quite late.
我通常都工作到很晚。
I leave at 5 o'clock to go to the computer class twice a week.
我5点的时候离开公司去上电脑课，一个礼拜2次。
But on other days, I usually stay in the office until 8 p.m.
但是在其他的日子里面，我通常会待在公司直到晚上8点。
And occasionally, I work until 10 or 11 p.m.
有时候呢，我甚至会工作到晚上10点或是11点。
After work, I almost always stop by a coffee shop on the way home, but occasionally I go to a 24-hour bookstore.
在工作完之后呢，我通常会在路上的咖啡店稍作停留，但偶尔我也会去24小时营业的书店。
I try to see a movie once in a while.
我尝试着有时候去看电影。
I usually go to a movie on Saturday afternoons.
我通常会在星期六的下午去看电影。
My week is quite busy, so I only do laundry once a week.
因为我的一周里面每一天都非常忙碌，所以我只有一个礼拜只洗一次衣服。
I usually do laundry on Sundays.
我通常在星期天洗衣服。
My life may be busy now, but I am sure all my hard work will result in a promotion soon.
我现在的生活可能很忙碌，但是我相信我所有的努力都会让我即将的获得工作上面的晋升。
Right, so you can see that many of the sentences in this writing model came right from the answers that I asked to the questions that I asked Jeannie.
好，你可以发现呢，这文章里面很多的段落、很多的细节都是从老师刚刚跟 Ginny 的一段访谈之中截取出来的。
Let's look now and see how this paragraph is organized.
好，我们来看看这一些段落是怎么样被这个组织起来的。
So first, this paragraph starts with a topic sentence. And you might remember from Unit 8 that we taught you that every topic sentence has a topic and a controlling idea.
好，首先我们发现这个段落是以主题句为开头那记得我们在单元8之中，我们提过每一个主题每一个段落都应该有一个主题句，即一个针对主题的一个控制想法。
So now in this paragraph, our topic is her weekly schedule, and the controlling idea is that the week is very busy.
我们会发现在这个段落里面呢，我们的主题是她一周的计划表。那我们要想写到的控制想法呢，是她的这一周都非常的忙碌。
And so you can see that in our topic sentence it says, I am busy every day of the week.
好，那你就会发现说，我们的主题句就写到了，我一周之中每一天都非常忙碌。
All right, now after we have our topic sentence, we need to have some details that support the idea in the topic sentence. But these supporting ideas all have to show unity.
好，在我们写出主题句之后呢，我们接下来需要提供一些支持的论点哦，来佐证我们的主题。那这些支持论点呢，必须要表现出整体性。
So in Unit 8, we learned that unity means that all the information in the paragraph stays on one topic. And so in this paragraph, the supporting details should all be about Jeannie's activities.
好，我们在这个单元8之中呢，我们学到啊，整体性代表的是段落中所有的资讯都应该与主题是相关的。所以在这个段落之中呢，所有的支持论点应该都是关于 Jeannie 一周的活动。
In Unit 8, we also learned about coherence, and coherence means that all your ideas should connect together logically.
好，在单元8里面呢，我们也学到了连贯性。连贯性指的是所有的想法都应该合乎逻辑的连接在一起。
And so one way to improve the logical structure of a paragraph is to use a chronological organization for the paragraph. And so this means that all the items in this paragraph will be arranged according to time.
好，有一种方式呢，能够来增进文章的这个连贯性哦。那这样的我们可以使用照时间排列的方式哦，来描述我们这个文章中的事情。
And so, for example, this paragraph is arranged according to Jeannie's activities. It starts from the morning and it goes to the evening. It also goes from the beginning of the week until the end of the week.
好，我们举例来讲呢，这个段落是以解释 Jeannie 从早上到晚上的活动，以及呢从一个星期的开始到一个星期的结束，用这样子的方式来排列她所有的活动。
Now, if we take a look back at the writing model, we can see words like first, then, and after that improve our coherence.
好，那我们可以看到这个写作范例里面呢，使用了 first, then 跟 after 这样的字，可以用来增进我们文章的连贯性。
Finally, this paragraph has a concluding sentence that ties up all the ideas in the paragraph.
好，到了最后呢，这整个段落最后有一个结尾的句子，来把所有的这些佐证都把它结合在一起。
So the concluding sentence is, my life may be very busy now, but I'm sure all my hard work will result in a promotion soon.
好，那像各位同学看到的，我们这个结尾句提到了他说我的生活现在可能是非常的忙碌，但是我相信呢，我所有的这些努力的工作都会造成我在不久的将来都能够获得晋升。
You can also see how this conclusion reflects back on the topic sentence.
好，你也可以发现呢，这样一个结尾句它是呼应了这个前面的主题句。
It shows a connection to the topic sentence by repeating the idea of being busy, and then it expands on it by explaining why Jeannie is working so hard right now.
好，我们可以发现呢，结尾句呢呼应了主题句这个非常忙碌这个想法哦。那它也同时利用非常忙碌这个想法呢把它做了延伸在解释说为什么它会非常忙碌。
All right, so now let's talk about your homework. For your homework, make sure you do the grammar activities and you do the writing analysis activity, and then go on and do the writing activity.
好，那我们现在来讲一下我们的回家作业请各位同学确定要做这个我们的写作练习那之后呢也在做后面的文法练习。
All right, thanks for joining us this week for English composition. We'll see you again in a week.
谢谢各位同学的参与，我们下周再见。
为您播出华视晨间国立新闻。